Good morning. Thank you for watching Hobby Hi-Fi. Today I've got a real strange one for you. I have a bunch of stuff stored and sometimes I just list it on eBay just because I've had it for a while and I haven't used it much. Now, somebody bought this one, so I dug it out. Every time I sell something like that, I go back through some of the options, make sure double check that everything's working properly, that it powers on and that it'll pass signal. And no scratchies. I could clean those if I encounter those in the pots. And so found this, hooked it up, and I had to go grab a power amp. Today we're using a Rusound power amp. I think it's 75 watts a channel. Pretty well built little bugger. I noticed a red board when I bought this, and I'm like, I don't see too many red boards. I wonder if that's a good sign. Turned out it was a pretty good sign. And large toroidal transformer there, so it's pretty interesting. But that was just something I grabbed to make sure that the preamp here was working fine. Now this isn't actually a preamp, and I didn't look up what year this came out, but I'm going to guess, since this is a Pro Logic extender, pretty much. So it's a surround sound processor, and it can also be used as a preamp, which is where my interest lies. But the model number for this is ES600 Pro, and I'm going to guess that this probably came out in gosh, Pro Logic, really, all those products. I'm going to say 92. I don't know. I mean, it could be anywhere between 88 and 2001 for all I know, but it's 20 years old. And the first thing I noticed when I picked this up was that the weight of it, and I thought to myself, wow, what's the deal? And so I look in and I see a pretty good sized transformer in there, and I see some decent sized caps under the hood, and I didn't even take the also, you can see probably through the grill here a pretty substantial heat sink, and I'm thinking, what the heck's the story with this? Well, I guess what it is that this is set up to be an add-on to provide rear and center channel information. So basically, what it does, it employs a power amp for each for those channels. So it's 50 watts to the let's see, rear channels and 20 watts to the center or something like that. I could have that backwards, but so anyway, it's got a couple of speaker outputs, the cheap old plastic clip speaker inputs terminals, and so I don't care for those a whole lot. But the real curious part for me was how does it sound as a preamp, and will this actually create a true bypass? And so got our trusty CD player running. I went from the CD player into the is just a simple loop on this onkyo. It's an input and an output, so that's always nice. It seems to me that keeping it simple stupid is will reap you some rewards on the sound quality end of things. And so I had to try it, plug the CD player into the input, and then plug the output into a power amplifier. And what that would basically give me with a bypass would be just a straight 2-channel preamplifier. And so I never really like to double up on level controls. This particular power amp does have level controls in the back. I always keep them at 100% when I'm going to be dealing with something like this that has its own built-in volume control. I hope I'm not covering up the microphone today like I was yesterday. But so here's the good part. When I fired this up, there was no, absolutely no scratchiness in the balance control. There was no scratchiness whatsoever in the power, the volume knob, and everything else is just null and void. All these settings, to the left are for your surround parameters, which I'm not interested in when you're running through bypass mode. As you can see, the plastic is still on this window. I think the customer hopefully will like that when he gets that and realizes he's still got a pristine window there. But anyway, in bypass mode, I was the first thing I was shocked about was how much gain I was getting. And so I've got some relatively inefficient speakers that I've been listening to, and they're just little buggers. They're those Cambridge Audio, I believe those were the SX50s. And they're not terribly efficient, so you got to, provide them a little power. But gosh, I didn't even get to 9 o'clock on the volume dial. And I was getting a little bit worried about the speakers. And granted, we are pushing 75 watts a channel, so we've got a little bit more beef than normal here, but I couldn't believe the gain that was possible, and so I had to stop and think about this for a little bit here, and what could be the reasoning behind that. Well, like we said, this thing is heavy, so when it takes an input, and if it's got a true bypass, and if it was thought out well, all it's going to do is take that input and it's going to loop it through that volume pot, and it's going to send it right back out. Now, that's one of the most simple preamplifier circuits that I can think of. No tone controls, and nothing to get in the way as far as I can tell once that digital circuitry has been bypassed. So that being said, preamplifiers typically don't need a whole lot of amplifier power to boost that signal just a little bit for that preamplifier. It's more of a leveler than anything else, in my opinion. But they still can benefit from a hearty power supply, in my opinion. So when you look at what we're asking it to do is just to, handle a signal and amplify that a bit, stabilify that signal for us, and just give us a good volume pot on the outside, the output, and so, started thinking about it. Wow, maybe that's a pretty decent volume pot, and maybe all we're doing is just basically coming into this thing and right back out using a good volume pot, which is the essence of a preamplifier, in my opinion. And even the fact that there's only one input and one output on this thing screams simplicity. So there is little to go on, except for the only thing I can think of is once you start getting a couple transformers involved, you may be exhibiting some noise. You might not need all that power under there. And that's why I've liked passive preamplifiers for the most part. Doesn't require much to just pass that signal along to a power amplifier. But I got to say, whatever this thing is doing, it's working. And I wish I had some larger speakers to get those Klipsch Fortes out here so that I could see what kind of gain we're talking about here, because it seemed like it gave me a nice boost. It seemed like it was clean. It seemed like it was articulate. It seemed powerful. It seemed spacious, and I was just really surprised. So anyway, this is just a quick. We're at 9 minutes now. And just one of those interesting finds that you come across every once in a while in your stash of goodies that you may have forgotten about, and you haul it out, and you're impressed with the fact that you must have known something or heard something long ago, or possibly just got lucky and stumbled on some of these products that actually are made well and sound terrific, despite being maybe 20 years old, and despite their circuitry and features being well outdated. There is no substitute for a good product, well thought out, well designed, well damped, and smartly laid out, simplified. 8+ onkyo. I hope you still stay alive, stay with us. We loved you for a lot of years, and I hope we didn't lose you. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching Hobby Hi-Fi. Have a great day.